are from Growth Molecules, a customer success consulting firm. And we ultimately have some things that we want to leave you with today. It is our goal to empower you with information on digital touch, how it's defined, what it is it robots touching, or is it something else? We also will take you through the advantages and potential shortcomings of digital technology, digital customer success motions. We'll take you through some practical applications. So how do you apply digital customer success? And then lastly, we'll leave you with digital touch strategies, making sure that they're human first. They are keeping human connection at the center of it all. So let's get started. Can I see a raise of hands where you are wearing a digital watch, a smartwatch connected to your wrist right now? Okay, most of us. Okay, arms down, thank you. So most of us have embraced the age of digital technology. And as we're thinking about that, we can turn on our sprinklers. We can turn on the lights in our home. I can order toilet paper. I can order food. And I could probably do that all at one time together. We've leaned in, right? We've got all these things. I can also open my garage door right now if I wanted to, right? So when you think about robots and them being everywhere, essentially we're talking about the idea of artificial intelligence, generative AI. We also have autonomous driving. We have robots now that are able to perform neonatal cardiac surgery. That is surgery on babies in utero, and they live and grow to be toddlers and beyond. And of course, as I mentioned, smart personal devices. Right now, right here, I suspect that all of us have at least 2 or 3 with us. After all, we're in Silicon Valley, we're all working tech, so that's expected. These technological advancements are here to stay, and they will continually be accelerated. In fact, it was just last month that Stanford published a report, a 400-page report nonetheless, that said that the investment from private equity firms in artificial intelligence is 18 times what it was just in 2013. Also, last month, Goldman Sachs published and said that generative AI could raise global gross domestic product by 7%. That's representative of $7 trillion. That's with a T. And then lastly, just in December of 2022, the University of Southern Florida published a report that said that AI tech is expected to grow to $200 billion, with a B, by 2026. And that was before ChatGPT came more mainstream among all of our social circles. So it's here to stay. And so as we're thinking about growing our businesses, as we're thinking about weaving in digital touch, digital customer success motions, I should first start and explain to you, as I promised I would, what we mean by digital touch. So in this context, it's relating to the use of digital technologies to provide a personalized experience, and one that should be, and hopefully is, in fact, human first, and that's what we'll teach you about today. So a successful digital touch motion will leverage what we call the TOES framework. Sounds a little weird, I get it, but we at Growth Molecules believe in mnemonic devices because that's the way that adults learn, right? So let's start with the T. So thoughtfully architected mapping. What does that mean? That means that you're thinking about the customer, where they are, their persona, what their pain points are, what matters to them at that moment, and then recognizing that it's continually changing. So that is T. So it's thoughtfully architected mapping. Next is O, omni-channel and automated communication. It's not just about meeting the right person at the right time, but also at the right place. Being able to do that in-app, leveraging chat, leveraging email, leveraging in-app messages, also chat bots. Thinking about creating automation where you can, where it's appropriate, where it's timely and helpful. Next is E, enabling customer autonomy. We're all busy. When we have something we need to do as consumers, we like to be able to self-help. It saves us time and energy, and we like that. Making it sure that it's aptly suited and timely for the customer. And lastly is S. Does it solicit customer feedback? One of the best quotes I've heard in my career was from the CEO and founder of Alteryx. His name is Dean Stoker. And he said at a conference years ago, it was a HubSpot conference here in the Bay Area, give the client what they want before it becomes a need. The only way that we can really anticipate our customers' needs and wants is by asking them, learning about them, understanding about them, keeping them at the center of all that we do, right? So one way to do that is to continually survey them and also talk to them, right? There's different ways to go about doing that. Some people love NPS, some people love CSAT. There's other ways in app, just a quick thumbs up, thumbs down. Taking all that feedback together and regularly measuring and regularly compiling it is one of the key things to this TOES framework. We know that companies are 75% faster at growth when they leverage digital customer success technologies. Companies that don't are falling more behind. So we know it works. We know it works because it allows for scale. CSMs at Gainsight, or CSMs who use Gainsight, rather, save 7 hours a week on average. That's by no joke, right? That's with absolute intent, because the job of a CSM can mean many things, as we know. We often get mired down in administrative burden, time that's debt spending on updating slide decks or meeting recaps. So by having technology to help us and assist us, it enables scale. It enables efficiencies. It enables accelerated growth. When your team members have more time to be proactive, building relationships with customers, and are saving 7 hours from having to do that administrative work, that leads to more quality time, quality connections, and then can help you protect your revenue, help you grow your revenue, and therefore be beneficial for your business growth. There are also cons to consider. If, in fact, you're using too much digital touch, or you're not weaving in key moments of truth and opportunity to connect, you could be losing that bi-directional conversation, another touch point to get to know them. By leveraging too much digital touch, you could also be creating too much messaging. We're all bombarded. We all get hundreds of emails a day. So you get desensitized. You start to tune it out, which also leads to product apathy. Right? If you're using only digital touch communication with your customers, you're not having any reason for them to have as much product loyalty. Your SaaS application may be solving business needs. They may ultimately love the value that it brings, but there's a lot of competition, even just here, right? There's a lot of competing products. If there isn't that human relationship and that bond that you built, it's a little bit easier to rip and replace software. And lastly, the big one here is ethics. We're all still understanding what it means. I have kids, their school is already talking about how to avoid plagiarism, how to have the ability, and they're going back to actually writing by hand their papers, because that's the only real way for them to test and understand that it wasn't written by a bot. And my son's 9 and in 3rd grade, so this is just mind-blowing to me. So we don't know what's going to come with the ethics, so that's one thing we have to be mindful of, and I suspect more will be coming from that. So next, I'm going to hand it off to my robot in crime, Amelia, who will take us through some of the digital motions.
Thanks, Sabina. All right, well, who here has built a customer journey? Quite a few of you. So today I'm going to take you through the digital motions of the customer journey. Of course, we've pared it down into 4 big buckets. And you may start your customer journey maybe at the trial, maybe at the sales handoff, but we believe the customer journey starts long before they may even be aware of your product. They have a pain point. Customers purchase with emotion. They rationalize the costs later, just like your tickets to Pulse today. You thought about all the great things that you were going to experience as a human being, and then you rationalize the cost. So for the digital motion, the communication that you're sending out to the world through digital marketing has to be persona specific. And sales teams have become really good at doing this with automation and technology. It's time for customer success to do that. And with products like Journey Orchestrator in Gainsight, for example, it's possible. Next, at the time of purchase, that is the highlight, the honeymoon of your customer's experience with you. You need to ensure that with a digital touch, at least, there's a welcome from your leadership. I remember going to all the different business banks, setting up my company, and trying to decide which one do I go to. And when I chose Bank of America, I was in awe. The chief customer officer wrote me this beautiful letter welcoming me when I bought my first iPad. someone from Apple sent me this beautiful letter welcoming me, asking me to schedule a call with an associate to learn how to use the product. I remember those moments. So that moment of purchase needs to be simple and it needs to have a human touch, even if it's done through an email. And then the post-sale. I know a lot of customer success professionals hate this word, but it is post-sale. And it's not the end of sale. It's the beginning of that relationship. And whether you have a simple product that you may never talk to someone like Calendly, Bitly, even HubSpot. We use the product. I've never talked to a customer success manager. But the onboarding was personalized with guidance through the product, and the communication is relevant to me. They asked me the right questions through the journey so that I had the right touch points. And then lastly, with loyalty. At our company, when we're working with clients and we want to send them a simple thank you, for example, Andy wrote us a G2 review and we're very thankful. We were able to quickly send him a thanks for a coffee and a brownie on Growth Molecules as a small token of appreciation. I didn't pick up the phone, I didn't order it, I simply pushed a button and sent that gift of appreciation. Today we have communities, right? Now inside it is part of Gainsight. Communities will allow you to create that human connection even if it's online. There's this quote, a Swedish proverb that says, shared joy is a double joy, shared sorrow is a half sorrow. So as humans, we have this intrinsic need for that human connection. And it's really important to make sure that as you're building your product and your experiences with your clients, you're building that human first connection. And here's some strategies to do that. First, conduct user research, right? Natasha, who introduced us, that's what her company does. Understanding what your customers care about, what their pain points, and by segment will help you create a better human experience, even if it's digital. Second, you actually need to incorporate that feedback. I did a huge project for a client and we surveyed over 10,000 customers. And I said, what are you going to do with the data? We're going to present it to the board. Okay, great, but then what? Aren't you going to do something with the data? You can't just present it. You have to actually action it. Next, your product needs to be built for design. And if you put your product team on it and you don't test it with customers, you're not really building a customer-centric experience for your clients. And not enough companies are doing this. Testing, showing, testing, improving. Next, you want to invest in training and support. There is nothing worse than announcing to your customer success team that they're now responsible for renewals and upsells, cross-sells, customer references, but you've never taught them how to ask the right questions, to learn how to do a renewal, how to be more transactional. It's important that you invest in your company, in your enablement of your CSMs. Next, you want to evaluate and iterate with all the different survey products out there. It's really important that you're taking it and sharing it on places like Slack. One of the companies I worked with, I set up all of their feedback into Slack channels for different teams so that they could evaluate it and iterate their products based on it. And then last but not least, and I'll say Nick Mehta's very good at this, he just picks up the phone. A couple weeks ago, he asked me, Amelia, can I read to you the keynote? Do you mind if I spend some time and you give me some feedback on it? And in 18 minutes, we went through that whole presentation you saw yesterday. And it was really important for him to hear, and I know I'm not the only one he called, for him to hear, how did I experience that delivery? And then he iterated on it. Next. So robots and real life, what we've learned is that robots and real life can exist together, because as long as we're humans, we will have a job. They may not be the same job. I know when I went to the University of British Columbia, the word customer success didn't exist. Today, we teach university classes in customer success at the University of San Francisco. So our jobs are not going away. You will still have one, but they're going to become more proactive and that you can spend time with your customers in a way that is building relationships. Next, you want to use Sabina's TOES methodology, right? It sounds like a fetish or something, but instead, it's actually a great way to launch a successful digital customer onboarding and customer success program. And then get creative. That's probably the thing I love the most about our jobs is we get to work with so many different companies across different segments. We're able to get creative with them when we're creating these digital journeys. And then last but not least, ensuring that you keep that human-centered strategy. Yes, revenue is important. That's why we're all here today. But keeping your views of your customers and bringing them into your product is incredibly important. I am going to hand it back to Sabina.
So remember our skit at the beginning. Hopefully it was memorable with its robot music and all. It was the words in that skit that were actually crafted with ChatGPT. It was the vulnerability to wear children's robot helmets, hats, our vulnerability to come on stage like that at this conference, and our human connection that made it memorable. Make sure that when you're engaging with your customers, you're leveraging digital touch because for them, it will also be memorable.